Hi, and good afternoon, everyone. It's Lorraine Allen. I'm the Regional Director for the Small Business Development Center at the College of New Jersey, and welcoming you here to America's SBDC for our first webinar of 2016. Let me also here, we're so excited today to have with us local marketing, advertising expert Shakira M. Brown. She's over 20 years of experience leading external and internal communication strategies for various corporations, high-growth companies, and professional service firms. She successfully led rebranding, development, and implementation initiatives across several organizations. And she's been featured as an expert in PR Week, Brand Week, NJBiz, Jersey 101.5, AOL, Money and Finance, Fridge Magazine, and the list goes on and on and on. And if everybody, I'm sure some of you have met Shakira around our county. She's a ball of fire, and you're really fortunate today to have to learn from her today. Welcome, Shakira.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, but first, before we get in, let me just make sure that you're aware of this center and what it is for you. The America Small Business Development Center is brought to you by the originated actually by the federal government, the U.S. Small Business Administration, over 35 years ago to provide management and technical assistance to established and startup companies. You should know that we're also funded by the state of New Jersey, and we are the small business outreach arm for the county of Mercer. Now, this the training or counseling that we provide really responds to the small business. Every small business faces challenges and they face opportunities. So it might be you're looking for a loan to expand or catch up, or you're looking to do business with the government, or you're trying to increase your marketing, or like this, we're trying to help our employees become the face of our brand as well. So, and you can see there that we do have an offer. For instance, we're also part of our initiative is to try and help the small businesses connect to each other. We're hosting our first Keep It Local event in Hamilton on February 18th, and you have more information there on the side to link to. So, and we're also brought to you by many other partners as well, including the College of New Jersey. There's over 1,100 centers in the country, and they're typically housed in colleges and universities. And we're also partners. We partner events and activities with Mid-Jersey Chamber, the Independent Business Alliance of Princeton Regional Chamber. We have our corporate partners and more. But you're here today. We have a lot of information to give to you today and pack in, and I'm going to really turn the mic right over to Shakira so she can help us really get the whole team in our brand movement. All right, Shakira, you're on.
Thank you so much. And just stand by for a second here. Okay, now I'm...
Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Shakira Brown, PR and marketing expert, and also I'm a counselor with the SBDC at the College of New Jersey. So let's get right into it. Making every conversation count, letting your employees be your brand ambassadors. So what does it mean to be a brand ambassador? I thought that it would be appropriate to start off with exactly what it means to be a brand ambassador and the definition of brand ambassadorship in general. It is a form of brand advocacy that employees or consumers display to others in a way that they act like people who know, love, and organically sell your brand, okay? The reason why you see kind of a menagerie of photos here, because I want you to focus in on the fact that we're not just talking about the public interfacing individuals at your organization. We are also talking about the individuals who are behind the scenes, making everything that you put together, whether you're a manufacturer, that are working with clients, if you're a professional services firm, right down to the front desk, okay? It's everybody at your organization. A quick example of the importance of making sure that everybody in your company know and love you and organically sell your brand is, I recently called the doctor's office, and I'm a pretty good consumer myself, and I do a lot of research before I choose another doctor. And one of the things I like to ask, if there's no website or if there's no information available on the web about this particular physician, I call up and I like to ask during my appointment, does this doctor maintain a board certification? And I called one doctor recently, and the woman who was answered the phone, who was taking my information for the appointment, was unable to answer that question. So then she put on a nurse. The nurse, who seemed a little persnickety, that I was asking questions, also could not answer the question whether or not the physician who runs that office and sees patients every day was board certified. Okay, that is a very, very bad infraction for any business, is to that type of information, to be able to talk about the qualifications of your company at the front lines like that is important. And of all people who should know the details about the physicians at a doctor's office would be the nurse, you would think, but no one could. And by the way, I did not make an appointment there because I didn't feel as though that a doctor's office whose staff wasn't familiar with their own doctor could give me good care. So I moved on. So that's the kind of the idea, the definition of a brand ambassadorship. So what is a brand? Simply put, your brand is your promise to your customer, okay? It tells them what you can expect from your products and services, and it differentiates your offerings from from that of your competitors. Your brand is derived from who you are, who you want to be, and who people perceive you to be. So the who you are could include your logo, could include where you're located, it could include your look and feel, your messaging, who you want to be, sort of your aspirational goals as an organization, right? And who people perceive you to be is, what do they think about your brand? What is your reputation? These are all make up what is a brand for any company, for any size. And we're not talking big companies. We're talking whether you're a small doctor's office, a large manufacturer, a professional services firm, whether you just have a small consultancy or a storefront retail store. These are the components of a brand. So why do you need branding? Again, I'm going to preface this with, it is not about just logos and colors. It's way more than that. It's about everything that your company is made up of today, right? So the main purpose of branding is to get more people to buy more stuff for more years at a higher price. Now, I don't think anyone would disagree with me if I told you that the branding was the key to all this, that you start branding today. You'd figure out, well, where do I begin, you'd say. But this is why companies like Apple have people buying new phones every year. It's because they have a brand that is so strong that people want to continue to buy more of their products every year, and oftentimes at a higher price. Okay? So this is something that all companies of all sizes should be considering when it comes to implementing a brand. So a strong brand, as we just talked about, Apple, can do a lot for a business. So you should never underestimate a strong brand. If we start from the beginning, it offers a platform for brand extensions, right? It offers a platform for brand extensions. It offers protection against competition, okay? So what it offers a platform for brand extensions means if people already know and trust your brand, you're going to be able to introduce more services, more goods, more products, right? If you have a strong brand, that it'll set you apart from your competition and ensure that no one will choose your competition because your brand is so strong, your reputation is so strong that they'll continue to use you or buy your product. It increases the chances of customers choosing your product or company, right? So if people believe and understand that your brand is the best, they're more likely to continue to choose your product. Even more people are more likely to want to work at your company. And we're going to go back to the top here. It says ensures easier access to distribution. Makes it easier for you to get your product and service out there. People already know what it is and what you stand for. Above all, it boosts customer and employee loyalty. Boosting customer employee loyalty is a very major component of branding. If people want to use your goods or service and believe that it's the best, they'll always use it, no matter what. Right back to that slide we just showed about people buying more stuff over time at a higher price. That's what this is all about. And then finally, all of this increases revenues, right? It leads to the increasing revenues over time because people believe that you are the best, or your services are the best, or your widget is the best, and they continue to buy from you because of it. So here's another statement that I think is helpful to everyone. It is much easier and cost-effective to build a strong brand if a company has an entire army of employees flying the organization's flag and defending it with heart and soul. Those are true brand ambassadors, right? So that is the name of the game right there. Imagine everyone at your company, whether you have 10, 20, 100, 500 people out there every day without you asking them to, because that's the key here, without you asking them to, saying great things about your company. That's what branding is all about. And it's not because you told them to say those things. It's because you are actually making them feel like they should say those things. Okay? So how do you encourage a brand ambassador culture? Right? That's what you're here for. And I'm going to tell you that there is no magic wand. You're not going to have a list of things that you're going to be able to tell people to do for them to be brand ambassadors. But it's more like what leadership and what company owners can actually do to make their employees feel like they're part of something bigger and that they should be out there flying the company flag. So ponder this. Imagine a world in which your customers had no idea what was special about your company, service, or product line, or why it should matter to them. Your employees may be operating in just this sort of vacuum, but an effective internal brand can make all the difference. The reason I have this photo here of Times Square is to kind of demonstrate to you what some employees may feel like they're working in. They're working in a place that's huge, or this is, if it's not huge, there's confusion, and they don't know what to say or what to do other than their job. They just kind of put their heads down and do whatever it is they think so they can get through the day. These people are not brand ambassadors. These people are just employees who punch a clock. What you want is a strong internal brand so that people don't feel like they're working in a vacuum and that there's confusion, that they understand where the company is going and that they are a major part in where the company is going. So what is an internal branding? It's simply a series of messages and actions that is in line with your company's external brand, but is recast for an inside audience. You do this through employee engagement. Employee engagement is something that if any of you have participated in any type of programs at large corporations, Fortune 500 corporations, employee engagement is always top of mind. But just because you're not a Fortune 500 company with 500 employees, or even if you are a middle market company with 500 employees, it is important to have an internal brand so that your employees, again, feel like they're part of something bigger, that they are making a difference and doing their part in making the company better and helping the company reach goals. I'm going to give you an example of what I'm trying to convey here about internal branding and making people feel like they're part of something. I once had an assistant whose dad worked for a Fortune 500 major consumer brand. Everyone has a product made by this company, okay? And he had been there for over 20 years. He was a middle manager. He was not a VP, and he wasn't running a division. He was in middle management. But his love for this company was so strong. Every time he looked at his daughter and she was trying to figure out where she was going to work and end up, he would say to her, "Why don't you join me in working for the greatest company in the world?" Now, this gentleman could be at the dinner table on a Wednesday night saying this. He was not sitting in his office. He was not around his boss. He was walking around telling people, his daughter, other people, that where he worked was the greatest company in the world. That company had a very strong internal brand, so much so that people like my friend's dad was walking around calling it the greatest company in the world and encouraging others to work there. It's amazing. So employee engagement, if you have to focus in on this now, because that's what we're talking about when it comes to being a brand ambassador. We are talking about employee engagement. So the data doesn't lie. The Gallup poll asked more than 3,000 randomly selected workers to assess their agreement with this statement: "I know what my company stands for and what makes our brand different from our competitors." Only a disturbing 41% of employees strongly agree with this statement. So that means out of 3,000 people, 41% could actually say, "Yeah, I know what my company stands for. I know why we're better than our competitors." The other 60 or 30 was 59% couldn't do that, you know? So how can your team deliver on the corporate brand promise if they aren't clear about what it is, right? You have to ask yourself that. You know, who's walking around your company not really knowing what your company stands for and what makes you guys different? Employee engagement and business outcomes is something that large corporations do, that smaller corporations should start thinking about doing, because it does impact your bottom line, the lack of employee engagement. Research firm TNS, huge firm, they do a lot of research. They're hired out to do a lot of research for corporations. Found in one survey that employee engagement can increase profitability. Higher employee engagement often coincides with a higher level of service quality. That makes sense. Think about it. If your employees are happy and if they feel like they're doing something for the greater good, that's going to translate into better service for your customers. And then also, employee engagement has an influence on customer retention. Again, back to the second bullet. If people are treating your employees are treating your customers great, and the end result, the customer is happy, you're going to keep more customers or clients or whatever it is that you're selling. You're going to buy, they're going to buy more of whatever it is you're selling, right? This is on the flip side. Disengaged employees once cost a global manufacturing firm $73 million a year in lost productivity, poor quality, and service levels, as well as higher accident rates and absenteeism. So these numbers are very telling. Engaged employees increase profitability. Disengaged employees decrease profitability in the form of no-shows, bad service, customers leaving, being careless, having higher accident rates. These are all bad things. So that's why having a brand ambassadorship type program, or we can call it brand advocacy at your organization, is very important. So I decided that I was going to give you a chance to see who works at your company, right? Here are 3 types of employees. The first one is an engaged employee, and these employees work with passion and feel profound connection to your company. They drive innovation and move the organization forward. Then you have number 2, which is the not so engaged employees who are essentially checked out. These are people who are clock punchers and clock watchers. They're sleepwalking through their workday, putting time but not energy or passion into their work. Of course, that is going to reflect on any sort of interface they have with your outside customers, whether you're B2C or B2B. And then 3, you have the actively disengaged employees who aren't just happy at work, they're busy acting out their unhappiness, and every day these people are undermining what their engaged coworkers accomplish. I think that, in my experience, I have worked with all 3, and I think I have been all 3 at corporations, to tell you the truth, and I'm sure others can commiserate. But what happens with this kind of, if you have a menagerie of this at your company, and again, whether you have 1 or 2 people, or 10 or 100, this is something you need to kind of be aware of, right? So consider this sort of list, this kind of checklist of engaged, not engaged, and actively disengaged folks to see what's available, who's at your company, and what you can do about it. Brand ambassadors need to know what the brand's values are and what they entail. Okay, that's, they can't do what they don't know. It is crucial for them to understand how these brand values are converted into tangible assets within the organization in general, and particularly in the context of their own position. So this is really connecting your employees to the bottom line. Letting them know that what they do, whether they're sitting in a back room filing papers, or if they're issuing reports, or if they're on the assembly line, that what they do is important to your company, to the greater good of your company, and to connect that. A simple strategy to deal with employee engagement is this: always keep your employees informed and listen to them. You'd be surprised what a difference it makes when you ask your employees, what their opinions are on things. Get them to, just don't, show up with something brand new. Put a committee together and get their opinion. Listen to them. What are they saying? Listening is also watching. Look at your absenteeism rate. Look at the people who are calling out. Look at the people who, no matter how big of a snowstorm they had, they're showing up. That might be an engaged person. That's somebody that you might want to spend a little bit more time nurturing. And then the people who you find that are kind of checking in and, punching the clock and leaving on time every day, these are people who might be a little bit more disengaged. We'll go into more of that. There is no amount of money spent on expensive advertising that can duplicate the efforts of employee brand advocates. So basically, this is saying, if you to spend $2 million on advertising this year, right? You decided that you're going to go all in. You're going to do print and radio and television and online marketing. And at the same time, you have a employee base that consists of maybe 50% of them are disengaged. The numbers are not going to be in your favor with the advertising, because you're going to get people to flock to your company, and then the people that these people that you've advertised to have to interface with are disengaged employees, and they may not even finish the sales for you, right? Or they may not give them the service that they were expecting, and they walk away. So here are 4 ways to engage your employees. The first 3 on this slide, then I have another on the next slide. So we'll start with make branding a priority. Educate your team on the brand and live the brand so they can learn from your example. This is so crucial. If people don't understand what your brand is, and again, we're not talking logos, we're not talking colors, we're talking about what people perceive you to be, who you are outside of the look and feel of it, the kind of the whole of your company, right? Your whole company. Educate your team and let them know, we are a company, our values are this. This is our promise to our customers, is this. That's what they need to know. And live by it. Always talk about it. Always say it. Be the one, if you're a manager, or if you're running a company and you're the owner, be the one that's calling your company the greatest company in the world. Because if you say it, they'll start saying it. Speak honestly is number 2. Seize every opportunity to communicate with employees sincerely and from the top. It is very, very essential to have this type of interaction with your employees. you should always be sure to talk about them when it comes to opportunities and challenges your company will face in coming months. And that means the good and bad, as well as any company-wide achievements. These touch points build a sense that everyone's important to your organization. There's another story that I have that resonates with me when I hear about Speak Honestly. And it also goes along with the next one, which is encourage participation. Knowledge nearly always leads to investment. Develop a company intranet, talk to your people, have a newsletter, have a blog. All of these go together. But the story that I wanted to share is about Jack Welch. Jack Welch, you may know, was the chairman and CEO of General Electric for many, many years. Has written several business books, is a noted expert on management. And in one of his first books, Straight from the Gut, he talked about at the peak of his career, he was running this global company, running General Electric. But management was so important to him in kind of making sure his people, the workforce, were part of the greater good of the organization, that he started an initiative where on Sunday nights, as busy as he was on Sunday nights, he would make sure that by Sunday, the department heads of certain divisions of the organization had sent him the names and contact info for the employees who had done something great, for the employees who had done something that recently that led to a win for the company. And what Jack Welch did, even at his prime of his career and as busy as he was, he would sit and write notes, handwritten notes, congratulating the individual employee, and as many as he had to write, he wrote them. If it was 20, if it was 10, if it was 1, he did it. Hand wrote these notes and made sure that these notes were delivered personally to the employees around the global company. Because it wasn't just the people that were in, I think they're based in Connecticut, and it wasn't just them. It was wherever these people were, he had these notes in a nice envelope and had them sent to their location, and they would receive these personal notes from Jack Welch. What a way to engage your employees, to make them understand that even the guy or the gal at the top is paying attention. This is something that all companies should do on a regular basis, is to encourage participation and speak honestly to your employees. When an employee of any rank in your company does something that makes a difference, you recognize them. That's exactly what we were just talking about, right? So recognize success at all levels. Don't forget about the people who are in the trenches for your organization every day, and make sure that they know that you're paying attention and that you appreciate what they do. Is your company positioned to implement an employee brand ambassador initiative? Now, this is an area where I think some companies that are of the smaller companies probably are kind of concerned. It's like, well, wait a minute, you're talking about handwriting notes and engagement with regard to newsletters, and we don't have the bandwidth to do that. But outside of bandwidth, are you positioned to implement it? Are you ready to go? Like if you were to hang up from this webinar and talk to, I'm ready. Are you ready for that? So here's what we're going to take a look at. Signs of a strong brand. A strong brand has a few components here. One of them is consistent messaging. All of your company goals and values, as well as messages across all platforms, match and are clear, understood among all audiences. Okay? That is something that companies of all sizes sometimes are challenged with. But if you can honestly say that 99% of your workforce is in line with the messaging, then you're doing very well. Second sign of a strong brand is recognizable visual identity. Your company logo and colors are consistent across your entire organization, as well as your collateral materials, and that includes signs, brochures, uniforms, business cards, even if you have vehicles with branding on it. Your customers and clients clearly identify with your name and visual identity. This is something that, again, if you could think of brands that are very clear, have clear visual identity, I can just spew off a few retail ones like a Target, Walmart, Apple. Those are very strong visual identity brands that, you know, as soon as you see something from these companies, you know it's them. Do you have that same aspect in your company? Number 3 is you're known for your reputation. Prospective and existing customers and clients choose your company because of the quality of service or product you provide. Do you have a customer base that patronizes your business because of your reputation? Or are they just doing it because of price? You know, these are things that you need to look at to determine whether or not you have a strong brand. Employee compliance. Your workforce can clearly state your current company values and mission with an understanding of where your company is today and where it wants to be in the future. This is one that I've seen time and time again, that employees who are disengaged are totally disconnected from the values and missions of a company. You know, if you're disengaged, you're not paying attention to the company's goals and the company's outlook for 2016. You're too busy trying to get the heck out of there. You know, you're punching out. You know, you're not thinking about what is going on in your company and how you can help them. And one of the things I wanted to stress about this particular one is that, you know, the signs that your employees are not going to be in line with some of these things is that they, you know, there's just a lack of enthusiasm, you know. So if your employees have a lack of enthusiasm for your company values and mission, then, you know, then your brand, you know, has some challenges there. And we're going to talk about that next. So if you're not quite sure based on the last 4 items that I gave, here are some ways for you to determine if your brand needs a little tender loving care, okay? Old logos and former company names from years past can be found on your marketing materials, clothing, signage, vehicles, business cards, and our website. I have personally worked in environments where this happened. Depending upon where you ended up at the company that I've previously worked for, you could see a truck with an old logo from a previous legacy company. You can find someone still wearing their old overalls because, oh boy, they just love those old overalls, even though the old logo's on there from the other company. This happens more often than it should. And if you have been through any sort of changes to your organization and you still have an inconsistent brand floating around, in this type of environment, you will have some challenges in trying to implement a strong employee engagement program. Another way to determine whether or not your brand needs TLC is your business has been around for 5 or more years and your company goals and service/product offerings have evolved, but your employees have been slow to adopt to these changes. This happens, again, more often than we all would want to. But when a company starts out, especially say you've been around for 10 years, right? Your organization's been around for 10 years. Every company starts off one way and then evolves over time. It could be that you started off offering 5 services, then you found that 3 of those services really didn't bring in the revenues, and you decided to stop offering these services and have 2. And then some of your employees are kind of still hanging on to those other 3, and they're still talking about them, and they shouldn't be. I've also come across companies who, because they are the owner, the business owner is loyal to an employee, they'll keep one service line going because one employee was so dedicated to it, even though it brings in no money. You know, that's sort of a red flag there. So if you find yourself in this particular position, then your brand needs TLC. My favorite is that your brand needs TLC if there have been mergers and acquisitions over the years, which have spawned a myriad of employee cultures operating and communicating in different ways, causing a lack of alignment across your workforce. This one statement alone about M&A and your workforce is an employee engagement killer. I, again, have experience working in an environment and trying to help rally employees together who were merged into another organization. And depending upon how strong of a relationship the employees at the company of these companies had with their former or legacy companies, you know, they have some trouble letting go. So if you've been through an M&A in recent years and you never sat down the entire organization and said, hello, this is who we are today, and please follow this particular message because this is who we are today, then you're going to have people saying different things, doing different things, operating in different ways than what you would hope them to do. If you have this type of environment, again, it is an employee engagement killer. Okay, so one of the things you have to work on is to fix the myriad of cultures that you have at your organization, and to fix the way that people are doing things so that everyone is doing things in the same way. When people see that someone's doing something differently than what they know, that creates a culture of, you know, well, she's not doing it that way, so I'm not going to do it that way. And then when you have that, then there's resentment, and there's just, you have a failure for a team player environment there. So be sure to make sure that these, if you have any of these challenges with your company, whether it was the inconsistent brand, or I'm going to go back, or whether or not your company goals and services have changed and people are still following those, you should really take a step back and work to fix that. So with all that in mind, what can you do today to initiate a brand ambassador culture? So I know that's what you were looking for. And up until now, you've heard a lot about employee engagement, and you've been hearing a lot of things about what employers need to do to get their employees on board with being brand ambassadors. And I do have to stress that being a brand ambassador is a feeling. It's a way that people feel and are compelled to do something. And that is not something that they can be told to do. They need to actually organically feel it. And that has to come from the top. So what can you do today? You need to start taking inventory. And by that, I mean, you need to figure out, where does your brand stand today? We went over a few slides ago some of the things that you can look at to see if your brand needs to be worked on. You need a little tender love and care, as I call it. So where does your brand stand today? Are you the company that has the myriad of employee cultures and silos? Or are you the company that everybody is in agreement and aligned, and everybody knows what the goal of the companies are for this year, and they're all working towards those, and they have their marching orders, and they're already flying flags? Where are you today? Are they flying the flags of your organization? Next, determine whether your employees are engaged, right? So that is something that you need to work on, and I'm going to give you some tips on how you can determine whether or not your employees are engaged. But I'm going to give you signs. I have some signs. I'm going to read them to you. Signs of disengaged employees, and if you can kind of go from there after you hear these. Number one, constant complaints. If you've got people who are complaining about everything, the coffee is not right. I don't like this paper that we're now buying. Why are we buying this paper? Oh, it's cold in here. The petty complaints. These are people who are just looking for things to be wrong, right? Number two, ridiculous and frequent excuses. These are some of the people who are checked out. They are making, the dog ate their homework. That's why they didn't come to work. These are those people. Number three, failure to be a team player. Okay, these are another reasons for disengaged employees. Dishonest behavior. You know what that's all about. Lack of enthusiasm, no desire for growth, and lack of initiative. So those are some of the things. If you heard those are some of the things that can help you determine whether or not your employees are engaged or disengaged. The next is look at your back to the slide. Look at your marketing materials. Are they consistent? Do you have a brochure from the first year you opened that you're still handing out? And in addition to the brochure you just created with all the new information that you want everybody to have, and you're just holding on to the old one because you have 5,000 of them and you don't want to throw them out. That happens, again, more often than I like to admit, but it happens all the time. You know, is everything consistent? Are all the messages on your pieces, on your website, on your signage, and your ads, are they all connected? Okay. Then you have review your marketing and company messages. Do they match your current goals? Are your company messages the same as they've been for 10 years, even though your goals are different? That is something that's easy to figure out. You know, look at if you have a sales force, look at what they're handing out versus what the goals are for this year, what you've put in your strategic plan for the year, if you have one, right? Are they the same? You need to take an inventory of all these things. Above all, you need to listen to your employees. If you really want to have a culture of brand ambassadors at your organization, you need to listen to your employees. Conduct an employee survey. That sounds like a daunting task, but it doesn't have to be. I recommend SurveyMonkey is a very easy tool. There's a free version, which I think you can get up to 10 participants. If you have more employees than that, then that's not really going to help you. But the next level of pricing is very affordable, and I highly suggest you consider this. Employee surveys can do a lot to find out different things. You can survey employees about your benefit plans. You can survey employees about the work that they do. You can survey the employees to find out what they know about your organization. And when you look at the results of an employee survey, those results are so telling. It could really help you plan better and be smarter in running your organization and help you to shape that brand ambassador culture that you want. You have to listen to your employees. You can also hold quarterly town hall meetings. Again, whether you have 5, 10, 20, 100, 500,000 employees, town hall meetings are a great way to interface with your employees, to let them hear from the top what's going on, good and bad, and also to hear that you care about what they think, and they start raising their hand. You know, you start asking for questions. You know, to operate in an environment where you're inviting people in your organization to share information is a great way to instill pride in an organization. You know, your employees will be proud of a company that listens to them. And holding a town hall meeting, holding some sort of event like that, and you can do it in person. If you have other locations, you can do a webinar like this one. You could do a conference call. Just do it, really is what I'm saying. Make it happen. Take away the roadblocks that you may have put up about why you haven't done them, and just do them. It is so empowering for employees to know that the people running an organization care about them enough to take time to spend with them, to tell them what's going on, and to invite them to share their opinions on it. And I want to be clear that most employees, if you ask them, feel that the only time they hear from the people at the top is during bad times. They're learning about the latest layoff or cutbacks of some kind. Don't let that be the only time you talk to your employees. Get together with them during the good times and tell them what you have going on and how they're a part of it. That's how you engage employees. Think like an undercover boss. Call your location. Visit your location. Undercover Boss is a show that I'm not sure if it still appears on CBS, but it's a sort of a reality show that brings corporate level executives down into the trenches of their organization, undercover, so they can find out what's really going on at the levels of where the employees are touching clients and customers. This is something that you could do on your own. It's so easy, right? If you have more than one location and people are not familiar with what you look like, go in. If you can't do it, send someone that you trust to go in and do it, and have them ask questions that you've devised for them. Okay? Call your locations. Just pick up the phone. Hello. Pretend like you're asking questions like a customer and find out what they're saying. You know, I wish that the doctor's office that I mentioned earlier, I wish that doctor had done that once or twice, because those people would have been more informed if he or she had. Another way you can listen to your employees is to talk to new hires. They may be a little nervous about talking to you. So if you wanted to do like a kind of an anonymous survey and kind of ask them why they chose your company and, you know, what was it about your company that they liked, it's a great way to find out, number one, you know, what the perception is out there from someone on the outside. And two, you know, was it something that someone on your team said to them that made them accept the job, or did they just take the job because they needed one? You know, these are things that they're good information to find out. And also monitor social media. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, your employees are on social media talking about their jobs. They're talking about you as an employer, they're talking about your organization. That information is readily available. It's not spying. They're out there doing it. You're just going to leverage the opportunity. Listen to social media. Monitor social media for your company name. I personally have been in charge of monitoring corporate social media accounts and have found employees doing very bad things on social while on the job in an OSHA environment that got them in trouble. You know, these are things that, so definitely listen to your employees, monitor social media. You know, you know, I kid you not, I actually have seen in an environment that was supposed to be a very strict environment, someone, you know, on roller skates and doing crazy things in an OSHA environment where they needed to be very careful and following strict rules of operating. And also people saying things that were off color in relation to their work and their personal feelings. Monitor social media. Just take my advice. You'll be very happy that you did. So here's your cheat sheet, okay? Your cheat sheet. Follow these steps. Focus on employee engagement. That was the theme of this whole presentation, was that if you want a culture of brand ambassadors, you need to focus on employee engagement, okay? Educate your employees. Tell them what you want them to say out there. Keep saying it to them. They'll repeat it. Encourage, share, and tell. Find out what they're thinking. Ask them. Encourage them to tell you what's going on. Have your managers at your different divisions of your company, have them tell you who's doing great things so that you can reach out to them. And above all, measure and monitor your initiatives to gauge your success. You know, employee surveys are great if you did them once every 2 years, you know, once a year even is even better, especially if you decide to ask different questions. But the overall focus of brand ambassadorship, if you don't have this already in place at your organization, is to implement change by doing some of these things, and employee engagement is top of the list. So the key takeaway from today is if you take the time to make your employee experience at your company stellar, your employees will organically become your brand ambassadors. Okay? Engaged employees need strong relationships with and clear communication from their management and leadership teams. They also need a degree of tension within their area of talent and strengths that will stretch them and help them continue to grow. So get out there and help them be more engaged. Engaged employees, again, produce more and they make more money for the company. They create emotional engagement within the customers they serve, and they create environments where people are productive and accountable. So make employee engagement a focus of your organization today so that you can build and grow your brand ambassadors of tomorrow. And if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by this, and you think that maybe this is not something that's for you and that you're going to need a little help, well, we're making it a lot easier for you. The Small Business Development Center at the College of New Jersey can give you a kind of a brand needs assessment or just a general needs assessment or a marketing assessment, any kinds of assessment that we think that we need to begin with to get you going at no cost. All right? And there's an offer on this webinar that you see to the right where you can click on that and you can register to receive free training. And if you just want to get a needs assessment or a marketing assessment, you can actually indicate that that's what you're looking for. So definitely click that offer and let us and reach out to us today to give us a heads up that, hey, we need help. That's what we're here for. We're here for you. And if you happen to be, and I don't, you know, this is a webinar that's available to anybody. And if you happen to be on this webinar outside of Mercer County, because our center in particular is focused on helping Mercer County-based businesses. But if you're outside of Mercer County, please go to www.njsbdc.com. It's right on the slide here, and find the center nearest you in your county. That's our advice. So don't be afraid that you have to do this on your own, because you don't. You're entitled to the help that we provide. And it's provided to you at no cost, because we are supported by the U.S. Small Business Administration, the state of New Jersey, and the county of Mercer. So definitely take advantage of this. With so many opportunities, we're going to be producing more of these webinars for you. We're going to be having live events where you can attend for training. And of course, we as mentioned earlier, we have our networking events, which are free to business owners in the Mercer County area. So please take advantage of the Small Business Development Center. Some of the other things that we do with existing businesses with regard to analysis, planning, and implementation includes new products. We help you with new products, kind of figuring out what to do with those two products. How should you market them? Dealing with new service lines, expansions, exit strategy, financing preparation, and strategic planning. These are all the things that we can help you with at the Small Business Development Center. And this is our contact information. I hope that you visit our website, and please connect to us on social media as shown here. And this will help you along the way to grow, and without having that fear that you can't do it all. There is guidance for you in the form of this America's Small Business Development Center at the College of New Jersey. All Mercer businesses are eligible for this help, so please take advantage of it. And now I'm going to open it up for questions. If you have questions, I don't see any at this time in the chat room. I was hoping I'll give you like 30 seconds if you wanted to enter some questions in the chat. If not, I will close out this call by saying I again invite you to please sign up for counseling at the Small Business Development Center at the College of New Jersey. It's no cost, and we're here to help you. So I'll give you a couple more minutes, and if I'm not seeing any questions yet, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for joining me today on this wonderful call, where we're focused exactly on what we promised, is being a brand ambassador. And I hope that you understand that being a brand ambassador, again, there's no magic wand to getting a culture of brand. What you need to do is you need to make sure that all of your employees are focused on the goals of the organization and feel like they're part of the greater good of the organization. And the only way for them to do that is if you make them feel that way. So with that, I'll close it out. I want to thank you again. Please tune in to our next webinar next month, the DIY Public Relations. There's more information about that at the sbdc.tcnj.edu website. And actually, you can use this website as well, sbdcnj.com. And I'll be very happy to see you again in our next event. Thank you so much.